Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to some casual deck building. Today we're building my Curses deck. Um, this commander here is Bladewing, Deathless Tyrant. It's 5 mana, a black and a red. It's a legendary dragon skeleton. Has flying and haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, for each creature card in your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie knight creature token with menace. It's a 6/6. Now that doesn't necessarily work well into the whole cursing your opponents thing, I guess. But it's red and black, and that's what I was going for. And there were some other choices, but I'm like, but it's still a fun one to have because eventually, by the time you get it out there, you might have a couple. What are you doing? Like, I know you want attention, but like, your set hasn't come out yet. You're not a commander yet. We will build a commander set for you in 3 months, 3.5 months. Wait, patience. Swamp. We like swamps. Imperial Seal, 1 black. Search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. You lose 2 life. It is a tutor with the new bracket system. It may fall into somewhere. I can't remember, but it's nothing crazy is going to happen, so don't worry about it. Rakdos Carnarium enters tapped. Return a land to your hand, and it taps for a black and a red. Sees the spotlight. 2 and a red. Each opponent chooses Fame or Fortune. For each player who chooses Fame, you gain control of a creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures, and they gain haste until end of turn. For each player who chose Fortune, you draw a card and create a treasure token. Mikokoro, Center of the Sea. It's a legendary land, taps for colorless. You can pay 2 to have each player draw a card. Room for negotiation stuff. Deflecting Swat, 2 and a red. It's an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. You may choose new targets for the target spell or ability. Mountain. Curse of the Restless Dead, 2 and a black. Enchant Player. It's an enchantment or a curse. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under enchanted player's control, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. This is a good one to play on one of those decks that has a lot of landfall. Ask them. You'll be like, hey, dude, who here has a big landfall deck? Who plays a lot of lands? And then bust them with it so you can get yourself some zombies. It'd be great. It's a lot of fun. They don't mind. Opposition Agent. I think this is also on the list. I can't remember. I just looked at it. I don't want to look at it right now. 2 and a black. Flash. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them, 3/2. This is a game changer one, I believe, so it should be in the bracket 3 or higher, I guess. Curse of Opulence, 1 red mana, enchant a player. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a gold token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So if player 2 attacks player 3 and you curse player 3, player 2 gets a gold and you get a gold. That's a nice way to do some ramp when in the Blade Wings in the Rakdos, because we don't have a lot of ramp. Rakdos Charm, a black and a red. It's an instant. You choose one of them. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Destroy target artifact, or each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. That's a great one for token decks. So they build up a bunch of tokens, you just go, they attack you, and it kills them sometimes. It's great. Forsworn Paladin, 1 black. It's Menace. You could pay 1 and a black and tap it to pay 1 life to create a treasure token. You could pay 2 and a black, and target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. If mana from a treasure was spent to activate this ability, that creature also gains Death Touch until end of turn. It's a 1/1. Sepulchral. Sepulchral. Primordial. 5 and 2 black. It has Intimidate, meaning this creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. When Sepulchral Primordial enters the battlefield. For each opponent, you may put up to one target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's a 5/4. Manalith, 3 mana, tap it, add 1 mana of any color. Necromancy, 2 and a black. It's an enchantment. It has a lot of text. Basically, what it does is you can take a card from the graveyard and you put it onto the battlefield. That's really all that it is. The only difference is you can cast this as though it had flash. If you cast it anytime a sorcery could not have been cast, so meaning if you use the flash aspect for it, the controller of the permanent, it becomes sacrifices at the beginning of the next cleanup step. So yeah, it has a lot of text. It's a lot. Moving on. Lightning Greaves, 2 mana, equipment. Equipped creature has haste and shroud, equip 0. Arcane Signet, 2 mana. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity. Whip of Erebos, this is a great one. 2 and 2 black, legendary enchantment artifact. Creatures you control have lifelink. You can pay 2 and 2 black to tap it, and then you return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate this only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So that's a decent way to get an extra way from your commander, right? 7 mana, boom, it dies. All right, I'll send it to the graveyard. Oh, wait, no, I bring it back, haste, and then I exile it to the command zone. Yeah. Mountain. Patchwork Automaton, 2 mana, ward 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Automaton. It's a 1/1. Decadent Dragon, 2 and 2 red. It also has an instant section for an adventure. 2 mana and a black. Exile the top 2 cards of target opponent's library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they may remain exiled. And then it's creature side, Flying Trample. Whenever dragon attacks, create a treasure token. It's a 4/4. The Lord of Pain, 3, a black and a red. It's menace. Your opponents can't gain life. And whenever a player casts their first spell each turn, choose another target player. The Lord of Pain deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to the chosen player. It's a 5/5. Mountain. Withering Boon, 1 and a black, pay 3 life, and counter target summon spell or counter target creature spell. The Grey Heavens is a legendary land. When it enters, you scry 1. Taps for colorless, or it taps for 1 mana of any color among legendary creature cards in your graveyard. Battle Hymn, 1 and a red. Add 1 red for each creature you control. Nice little pump. Swamp. Gloom, 2 and a black. It's an enchantment. White spells cost an additional 3 to cast. And white enchantments with activation costs require an additional 3 to use. Gloom's a great one that shuts down those mean old white players, like myself. Mountain. Treasure Nabber, 2 and a red. Whenever an opponent taps an artifact for mana, gain control of that artifact until the end of your next turn. 3/2. It's great. You need mana ramp. You're a Rakdos player. Come on. You can't expect to do all the work. Mask of Memory, 2 mana. It's an equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, you discard a card. Equip 1. Swamp. Thieving Amalgam, 5 and 2 black. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you manifest the top card of that player's library. Manifest is by put the top card face down is a 2/2 creature, and then you can turn it up at any time for its mana cost if it is a creature card. Whenever a creature you control but don't own dies, its owner loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It's a 6/7. Swamp. Duplicant, it's a 6 mana, it's a shapeshifter. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. As long as a card exiled with Duplicant is a creature card, Duplicant has the power, toughness, and creature types of the last creature card exiled with Duplicant. It's still a shapeshifter. It's a 2/4. Wheel of Fortune, 2 and a red. Each player discards his or her hand and then draws 7 cards. That's great. You never know when you need more cards. Soul Ring, 1, taps for 2 colorless. Cascading Cataracts, indestructible land, tap for a colorless, or you can pay 5 mana and then add 5 mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool. So it's a little mana fixing because red-black can be hard sometimes. The Reaver Cleaver, 2 and a red, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. Equip costs 3. Another way to help your ramp, because this is important. Death Grip, 2 black. It's an enchantment. You pay 2 black, and you can counter a green spell as it is being cast. They don't have a lot of counter spells, but that black one, that's a fun one. It's just a way to shut down some of the green stuff out there, and it's funny. I've yet to use it. I've gotten it out, but I haven't used it because nobody's been green whenever I had it, so it's kind of unfortunate. Homeward Path, add 1 mana to your mana pool, or you can tap it, and each player gains control of all creatures he or she owns. I have that in there because this is kind of a steely, cursey deck, and it's likely that someone will do that to you, and it's just like, all right, we'll just not have that happen. Burnout, 1 and a red, counter target interrupt spell if it is blue. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Dragon Skull Summit enters the battlefield unless you control a swamp or mountain. Taps for a black or red. Captive Audience, 5, a black and a red. It's an enchantment. This is a big fun one. When it enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that has not been chosen. Your life total becomes 4. Discard your hand. Each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. That's a fun one. Chaos Warp, 2 and a red. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. It's cool. Agitator Ant, 2 and a red. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put up to 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had counters put on it this way. Until your next turn, those creatures attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. It's a 2/2, just a way to help protect you. Sword of Body and Mind, 3 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and blue. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, and that player mills 10 cards. Equip cost 2. Sorin Markov, 3 and 3 black, legendary planeswalker. You +2 him to deal 2 damage to any target, and you gain 2 life. -3, target opponent's life total becomes 10. -7, you control target player's target player during that player's next turn. 4 loyalty. That's a fun guy. Command Tower. Eastern Paladin, 2 and 2 black. You can pay 2 black and tap him to destroy target green creature. It's a 3/3. I know, Death Grip, that they're specific against green hate, but you know what? They deserve it. Judith, the Scourge Diva, 1 black and red. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith deals 1 damage to any target. She's a 2/2. Garna, the Blood Flame, 3 black and a red. She has flash. When she enters the battlefield, return to your hand all the creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste. 3/3. Good response to a board wipe, if you know it's coming. Fabled Passage. It's a land. You sack it, search for a basic land, put it in tapped, then shuffle. Then if you control 4 more lands, untap that land. Fun stuff. Mox Tantalite. It has Suspend 3 for 0. So rather than casting it from your hand, you pay 0 and exile it with 3 time counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove a time counter, and then it comes in for free when all the time counters are gone. Add 1 mana of any color. This is free. It's cheap. We got it. Defense Grid, 2 mana. Each spell costs 3 more to cast, except during its controller's turn. Since there'll be a lot of people that want to cast stuff on your turn, make them pay for it. Hazoret's Monument, 3. Red creatures you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. In Rakdos, we got to make up for all the green stuff and the ramp and the card draw of blue, and it's just a mountain. Reliquary Tower, no maximum hand size, taps for colorless. Foreboding Ruins. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a swamp or a mountain card from your hand. If you don't, it enters tapped. Taps for a red or black. Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer for a red. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may cast that card. He also has a dash ability, 1 and a red. You may cast a spell for its dash cost. If you do, it gains haste. And it returns from the battlefield to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. It's a 2/1. Paliano, the High City. Legendary land. As you draft it, the player to your right chooses a color. You choose a color, then the player to your left chooses a third color. Add 1 mana to your mana pool of any of the chosen colors as you drafted. I don't know why this one's in here for a 2 color and you want 3 colors. I guess there's some room for negotiation to be like, hey, person on my right, if you choose red, I'll choose black. And then the third one doesn't matter. Because I think the thought I was having here is like, if you ask somebody to do a favor for you, even a small favor, something like this, right? That can help build a little bit of trust towards them that you can use to betray them later. But I might switch that one out. Curse of Disturbance, 2 and a black. Enchantment or a curse, enchant player. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. I don't think I have that many curses. I think I got just the main ones. It's been a while since I made this one. Black Dragon Gate, it enters tapped. It is land. When it enters, you choose a color other than black. You add a black mana or 1 mana of the chosen colors. So you choose red. That's a simple one. It's the better Paliano. A Paliano. It's not Italian, but it should be. Void Winnower, 9 mana. Your opponents can't cast spells with even mana values. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even mana values. It's an 11/9. One of your big bombs of the deck. Crystal Grotto, when it enters, scry 1. Taps for colorless, or you can pay 1 to add a mana of any color. I did it mostly for the scry. Stolen Strategy, 4 and a red, enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards, and you may spend mana, as though it were mana of any color, to cast those spells. That's fun. Cauldron Complete, 7 mana. It's a legendary artifact equipment. It's a living weapon, meaning when you cast it, you create a 0/0 germ that is attached to it. It is indestructible, and the equipped creature gets +5/+5, and it has First Strike, Trample, Indestructible, Haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a creature, you exile that creature. Equip cost 7. It's an expensive boy, but it's a fun one. Azur's Gateway, 2 mana, legendary artifact. You can pay 1 and tap it to draw a card. Then you exile a card from your hand. If cards with 5 or more different converted mana costs, meaning one card is 2, your second card is 3, your third card is 5, your fourth card is 6, as long as they're all different, you gain 5 life, and then you untap it and transform it. It's a Sanctum of the Sun. Add X mana of any one color to your mana pool where X is your life total. That's awesome. We like that. Hopefully, you'll be around long enough to use it. We got the Bloodthirsty Blade, 2 mana. Artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and is goaded. It attacks each combat if able. Not +1. You pay 1 and attach Bloodthirsty Blade to target creature an opponent controls, only as a sorcery. Nim Deathmantle, 2 mana. It's an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Intimidate, meaning only artifact creatures or creatures that share a color with it can block it. And the creature is a black zombie. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Deathmantle to it. Equip cost 4. We got a Kozilek Butcher of Truth, 10 mana. When you cast this spell, draw 4 cards. and then it has Annihilator 4. So whenever it attacks, the defending player sacrifices 4 permanents. And then when it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. It's a 12/12. Another big bomb to throw at people's faces. Hirobi, Death's Whale. 2 and 2 black. Flying. Whenever a creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, destroy that creature. It's a 4/4. Inquisitorial Rosette. 2 mana. It's an artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature token with Vigilance that's attacking. Then attacking creatures gain Menace until end of turn. Equip cost 3. The Ruinous Powers, 2, a black and a red. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose an opponent at random. Exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. When you cast a spell this way, its owner loses life equal to its mana value. Swamp. Lagomos, Hand of Hatred, 1 black and red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. Or you can tap it to search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate this only if 5 or more creatures died this turn. That's a hard one to pull off. Atali, Primal Storm, 4 and 2 red. When Atali attacks, this is the attacking one, exile the top card of each player's library, then you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost. Decanter of Endless Water, 3 mana. You have no maximum hand size, add a mana of any color. Hell Rider, 2 and 2 red. It has haste. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hell Rider deals 1 damage to defending player. It's a 3/3. Exotic Orchard. Add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Hurl Through Hell, 2, a black and a red. It's an instant. You exile target creature. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Captain Lannery Storm, 2 and a red. Haste. Whenever Lannery attacks, create a treasure token. Whenever you sacrifice a treasure, Captain Lannery gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's a 2/2. Darkness. 1 black. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Good way to keep you alive. Thriving Bluff. When it enters the battlefield, tapped. When it enters, choose a color other than red, and then you can tap it for a red or a mana of the chosen color. You pick black. Thieves' Tools. 1 and a black. When Thieves' Tools enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. As long as equipped creature can't be blocked, as long as its power is 3 or less. Equip cost 2. Swamp. Obosh, the Prey Piercer. 3 and either 2 black, 2 red, or 1 of each. Your starting deck contains only cards with odd mana values and land cards. That is if your card is a companion. This is not the companion, so we don't worry about any of that nonsense. So we just worry about the second part here. If a source you control with an odd mana value would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. 3/5. It's a mountain. And we got another bent card here. Again, so annoying. Just stick with one quality cardstock. Come on. Spine Rock Knoll. It has Hideaway, meaning this land enters the battlefield tapped. When it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. It taps for a red. You can pay a red and tap it. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage this turn. Bedevil. 2 black and a red. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Coveted Jewel. 6 mana. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Add 3 mana of any one color. Whenever 1 or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you, and they are not blocked, that player draws 3 cards, gains control of Coveted Jewel, and untap it. Glory Bringer, or 3 and 2 reds, a dragon, flying haste. You may exert Glory Bringer as it attacks. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. It is a 4/4. Exert means you untap it, and then it doesn't untap during the next step, and then the following turn you do untap it. Mimic Vat, 3 mana. It's an artifact. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you may exile that card. If you do, return each other card exiled with a Mimic Vat to its owner's graveyard. Pay 3. Tap it, and create a token that's a copy of a card exiled with Mimic Vat. It gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. That's a way to get some double stuff out of it. Demonic Tutor, 1 and a black. Search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand. Shuffle. This is a game changer one, so be wary of what brackets you're playing it with. Mountain. Archfiend of Despair, 6 and 2 black. Flying. Your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. It's a 6/6. Sabo Tavak, 5, a black and a red. First strike, protection from legendary creatures, and you can pay 2 black to destroy target legendary creature. It can't be regenerated. It's a 7/4. And finally, Hulking Bugbear, 1 and 2 red. It's a haste. It's a 3/3. I just have it in here because it's cheap and it's shiny. So, you know, good stuff. So anyway, this is a deck that takes other people's stuff and curses them a little bit. And it's been fun. I played it a while ago. It was good. The one thing that I want to swap into it is the Seal of the Guild pack. It's 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you choose 2 colors, red and black. Then each spell you cast costs 1 less to cast for each of the chosen colors. So if it's just red, this 3 becomes a 2. But if it's red and black, this 5 becomes a 3. So it's a good one to get in there. A couple of, more of these expensive ones. So I want to get this in here, and I'll go ahead and do that with you guys now I'm thinking about it. We got time. It's cool. What do we want? I think... Where'd it go? I think we'll get rid of Death Grip just because I've not been able to use it. I haven't been able to get into a situation where I've played with a green dude to get any good use of it. I will have to find one of these days, specifically if I find someone that's playing a green deck, I'll have to grab a deck that has this, play it just for the giggles. So yeah, we'll swap that out. I will set this aside to remember to adjust that. But anyway, this is more her speed. This is built around the type of decks she likes to play. She likes this one. She likes Nekazar. She likes Dumpster Fire. She likes those types of decks that I have. So it's more me building these decks for her, right? Because, she's aggressive and she likes to hurt people, especially me. But yeah, no, it's true. I have to tell them the truth. That's how this whole thing works. You're not innocent. Right. Fair enough. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will catch you later.